making some great progress on my 107 rebuild, and actually looking forward to today. It's going to be a good day. I've finally actually gotten to the point where I'm doing the wiring now, so that's great. Last weekend I just laid out all the wiring and put everything together and actually started doing it. Unfortunately my camera didn't record what I was doing, so I missed a bit of that, but I'll show you today just what I've got going there. So I unboxed the wires that I got from AutoSpark and sort of laid all that out and actually just put the first wire through the chassis, and then also did the one through the firewall, and that's where I got to. And so from today I'm just going to start putting that wiring together. I've done everything else. Just hold on a minute, that's not really what happened. What I found myself doing was removing the firewall, the absolute last thing I thought would happen, and doing a job that I really didn't think I'd have to do. But before I tell you about my shocking discovery, let's just take a step back and have a look at what I did for the exhaust system. I haven't shown you how I did this, but I did mention it in my last video as one of the items to do when fitting a 2.25 litre engine into a Series 1. Now, just having a look at the exhaust here, my vehicle obviously didn't have any exhaust or anything on, so I had to make a plan, and it turns out that I could actually use some of the original parts, which is really nice, and I got them yesterday. So basically the silencer is the same, so even on a short wheelbase and a long wheelbase, the silencer and the tailpipe is basically the same for a 4-cylinder, so that's easy enough, so I can use that one. And then the downpipe that I've got is just the 4-cylinder from a short wheelbase, which I can use. And then the middle pipe is a 109 pipe, which I'm hoping is going to fit onto the vehicle. The part numbers seem to be all the same, so I'm hoping that it's going to fit. And then the best part of all with this whole with the whole exhaust system is this little box here, and I'm so glad I found out about it, because to put the exhaust on properly you obviously need all the fittings, and that's not quite so easy because some of those brackets are a little bit different, and if you don't have it, to find them is not very easy. And again, on my vehicle I don't have any of those brackets, so there's this really nice little kit that you can get from Britpart, actually a exhaust fitting kit. So it's got all the bits and pieces in that you need, which is really nice. It actually had more than I thought. I thought it just had the brackets and the rubbers, but it's actually got it's got all the bolts and nuts, as well as some nice brass ones, I think, which are for the manifold, so that's quite nice. And then it's got the rubbers. Okay, it doesn't have the felt like the originals, but these rubbers will work fine. It's got the gasket that goes onto that's actually extra gasket that I got. It's got the gasket that goes at the silencer, between the silencer and the intermediate pipe, and then the brackets. So that's really nifty to have all of that together. So it's going to be quite nice to put this all together and get it all on. So when I finally get this going for a bit of a run, at least I don't have to run it without an exhaust on. So it's going to be nice to put the exhaust on. Here you can see how the short wheelbase pipe fits in and goes over the gearbox crossmember. I tried to get all these pipes to fit together, but it was a bit of a struggle. The angles just didn't want to line up. I fitted it in with all of the mountings from the exhaust mounting kit, which made it really easy, but the brackets were not sitting comfortably, and the silencer angle did not seem right. I tried several times, but eventually gave up and conceded that this configuration was not going to work. The problem is that the short wheelbase downpipe is not compatible with the intermediate pipe, in that the angles don't work out and it doesn't fit properly. I realized that I had to use the downpipe for a Series 2 long wheelbase instead. Putting on the exhaust.
Exhaust, you got one?
Yeah, I bought exhaust.
Bloody hell. Extreme.
Except the last one I bought didn't fit because I got the short wheelbase front pipe and I don't think that was going to work out. This downpipe comes out underneath the chassis to the left hand side in a similar way to that of the original downpipe for the Series 1. The close fit to the spring hanger concerned me initially, but I think it's normal and should be fine. Once I had made this change, I could get the whole exhaust to fit properly. Now back to that day that started out with so much hope, but took an unexpected turn. It all started out fine as I was busy doing the final touches to start the engine again and get the rolling chassis out for its first drive. After fitting the fuel tank, I connected up all of the fuel lines. I fitted the alternator and got the fan belt on. The radiator was ready and connected up already to receive water. Then I finally started on the wiring. The first task was to wire up the engine so that we could start it to check that everything was working properly before carrying on. I did the basic wiring to connect up the battery, starter motor and alternator. I wired all of this up to the starter button and ignition switch. And finally I was ready to turn the key and start it. What a pleasure it was. With a few turns of the engine she fired up again, as if she had been driven the day before. But unfortunately, as we ran the engine, there were water leaks from the Welsh plugs that I had forgotten to change when I had taken the head off. There was also a small leak from the temperature sensor that I had not checked. All three plugs on the side seemed to be leaking, but there was also one at the back of the engine which had to be changed just in case. Instead of taking the engine out, it was easier to take the firewall off again. And so with the Welsh plugs out, I also took the opportunity to clean out the engine properly. Something that I should have done earlier, obviously. Everything was still fairly accessible too, so it was possible to get the new plugs in. Then I could get the firewall back on again and carry on with the wiring.
Okay, we can actually put the washer. Wait.
In the next episode, I make some great progress putting the dash together and really get stuck into the wiring. Exciting times as this Landy is getting closer to being finished.